What's the difference between Disneyland and the DMV?
DMV is so fun.
What's similar between the DMV and Disneyland?
Lines.
Right? Okay, so other than the long lines, they both have an incredibly palpable culture. The moment you walk in, you know exactly where you are. Now imagine if those cultures were reversed. What would that be like? Would anyone ever go to Disneyland? Right? Would you renew your license more often? Imagine if we didn't take the time to create our cultures on purpose. If we didn't take the time to intentionally design the experience that we want people to have. I work with our schools to actually help them create their environments on purpose. I work with entire school communities and helping them really integrate their 6 senses throughout the entire community. I work with the students, I work with the teachers, I work with the administrators, I work with the support staff, I work with the families, and really getting them all on the same page. My journey began, as Evelyn said, actually before delivering happiness. It was about 10 years ago when I was going through my first divorce to my son's father, but that's another story. We'll talk about that later. When I had a friend of mine actually give me a book called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And the message that I took away from that book was that my life was within my control. And it wasn't that I wasn't plugged into some mainframe somewhere, and it wasn't just God's plan as I had been raised, but it actually was within my control. I spent the next few years trying to find my passion, my purpose. What was I meant to do in this life? I had success along the way, but I was really still searching for something bigger. There was something missing. In 2009, I actually met Tony Hsieh. I had gotten back into real estate to kind of ride out the recession and was just selling residential and commercial on my own. And Fred Mosler reached out and was looking for a townhome for his mom. Fred and I became friends. He introduced me to Tony. I started working with several people at Zappos, helping them with various residential and commercial real estate needs. Tony and I started talking about campus space and what that would look like to move Zappos headquarters from Henderson. And he started asking questions about downtown. So the person that I knew that knew everything about downtown was Andrew Donner. Introduced them, and subsequently Zappos' new headquarters is at the old City Hall building. Downtown Project became a thing, Catalyst Creative became a thing. So a lot of things happened from those relationships. And at the same time, Tony was building or writing his book, Delivering Happiness, and turned it into a company. And I reached out and I said, I love what you're doing, happy to volunteer, whatever you need. 3 months later, I was running internal operations and internal culture for Delivering Happiness. And we had schools reaching out to us saying, I want to be happy, like Zappos. Can you teach us how? And can you help us implement some of the strategies from the book? And we had professors reaching out saying, will you help me kind of co-create curriculum? And because of my passion for education and experiences that my son had, both good and bad, at different schools, I started volunteering with these schools and saying, I'll just help you for free. I'll help you implement the strategies that we're teaching corporations in your schools and see if we can make it relevant. I realized that the impact that that was having and the immense passion that was coming out of me for this work, I couldn't imagine doing anything else. And so fast forward to 2013, with the full support and blessing from Delivering Happiness, they said, Sandi, go build it. You're passionate about it. Run. We're going to stay focused on corporate culture transformation. So super excited, kind of jumped and have been building it for the last 2 years. And like I mentioned, I'm working with the entire school community. And everything is rooted in the core values of who every human being is. So I teach them what is a core value. How are core values at play every day, whether you pay attention to them or not? And we begin to articulate this common language across the entire school community that speaks to this is how we do things here, and this is who we are. One of my schools that I've been working with for 2 years now, they've been going through, so the first year was all about defining their core values, and it literally took almost the entire school year to get to that place. But we had a lot of quick wins along the way. We had a lot of successes, and their school spirit was high, their teacher retention was higher than it had been in the past. But now that we're getting into infusing the details of their core values into daily life, we're getting into the hard stuff. We're having the hard conversations. We're uncovering the root of what they all feel. But we're at this place where we can't just gloss over things. We can't just ignore the thorns that are over here. We have to truly dig in and go, okay, let's teach you guys what are limiting beliefs. What's holding you back? What can you overcome? What is within your control? And begin to really talk about what works and best practices, not only in corporate America, but other schools that are successful. They're beginning to see that when you create that consistency across campus and that unified purpose and passion for why they're all there in the first place, we're beginning to see these results, and we're beginning to see academic success from it. And like I said before, more teacher retention, which is huge for these kids. When I'm teaching these schools about the 6 senses, I mentioned that before, I'm teaching them to think through the environments that they're creating in every interaction. When you think through your senses, you think about how you're making yourself feel, but you're also thinking of how you make others feel. When you plan a party, what are you thinking of? When you plan any kind of party, what's that like?
You want to make sure everyone has fun.
Right. You're thinking through, what's the food like? What music am I going to have? What textures are there going to be on tablecloths or anything like that? What type of party are you having? Are you having like a yoga style party? Are you having like a rave style party? What's it like? And what if we designed each and every day with intention as if it was a party? So when I get the schools thinking about it in that way, and they start thinking about their interactions with each other from that mindset, they start thinking about the way that they design their classrooms, they start thinking about the ways that when you first walk into a school, like where the teachers walk in, one of my schools, literally, I'd been parking in the front for a long time, and one day I was like, you know what, I'm gonna park where the teachers park and see what it's like to walk in there. Wow, that was depressing. I was like, really guys? This is awful. It feels like I'm walking into a dungeon. It's dark, it's lonely, it's like terrible. So one of the things that we're doing is we're running a contest for the students to design what murals would look like to decorate that hallway for the teachers. Let's intentionally create our environments. So let's get interactive with you guys for a minute. So think about your personal core values, not just a value you agree with. Like we all agree with respect, we all agree with honesty, but your true core values, like one that when it's violated, you're mad. Or when it's at play, you feel the most joy. What's one that comes to mind?
Fair play.
Fair play.
Trust.
Trust.
Transparency.
Transparency.
Loyalty.
Go ahead. Awesome. Loyalty.
Freedom.
Freedom. Awesome.
Honesty.
Honesty.
Integrity.
So think about those values that are your core values. And when you're feeling joy, when those are at play, what's happening? What behaviors are happening? What action is there? Yeah, so think about those action steps. Now think about what if you were to kick that action up a notch, intentionally. For example, one of the core values at one of my schools is smile and be playful. So if smile and be playful is your core value, and your action step around that is that you smile at everyone you know. Your kick it up a notch version could be you're gonna smile at everyone that you see every day, regardless of what mood you're in. What would that be like? Creepy? Did I hear creepy? For some, yes. I actually traveled to Russia, side story, and smiled, and they don't do that in Russia. It's a mood booster, right? Right? So let's fast forward 30 days from now. It's April 26th. This half of the room, for the next 30 days, you have not amplified your action step. You figured, oh, that was a nice thought. No big deal. I haven't done it. What's that like? Same. Same. Begin to think about the unintended consequences of not amplifying who you naturally are.
It becomes a weight around your neck that pulls you down.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So now this half of the room, and you guys are bigger. More people. The bigger half. Larger audience. It's April 26th, and you guys have actually amplified your action step. True to yourself, just who you naturally are. You just kicked it up a notch. Every day for the next 30 days. What's that like?
We rock.
Yeah?
We're energized.
More energized.
Happier.
Happier. What becomes possible
Everything.
by doing that? Everything. Yeah. So thinking about it, it's just who you naturally are. Just living with intention. What I teach and what I do, it's not a magic pill, it's not a silver bullet, it's not a new program, it's not a new initiative or anything like that. And that's what's so unique about my work, especially in schools, is they're so used to mandates and everything, that it's truly about amplifying who you naturally are. And think about our entire school communities and the schools that are doing this. When you get everyone on the same page, amplifying who they naturally are, living true to who they are as human beings, and creating that common language and celebrating each other from that, the schools that are doing this, they're on this route to creating more engaged classrooms, to keeping teachers happy in the classrooms. We all know teachers that, every school we went to, we knew who the mad teacher was that day, right? So imagine if they showed up and they were actually happy to be at work. Now think for yourselves, within your families, within your teams, within your organizations. What can you begin to do to amplify who you naturally are? And wake up and celebrate each day as if it was a true celebration you got to wake up to. Thank you.